Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to another week. This is the Live Life Show. This is Sensei Hogan. Got Mike Mahler on the other line from sunny Las Vegas.
That's right, man. I was laughing at our friend Ori Ortega in Panama. I was like, yeah, you guys should come down for this big event, get some sun.
I'm like, dude, like, you live in Vegas, I live in Houston. I'm like, dude, we know the sun very well. Come
sunny
on, man.
every day.
The devil's my mayor, man. I know what. Yeah, exactly. I got plenty of sun here. I'm good.
Even when it's cold, it's still sunny.
Exactly. Like, dude, yesterday it was 82 degrees here. Okay, it's first day of February yesterday. Like, come on, man. I'm good with sun.
Yesterday it was cold here, man. It was cold and windy, and I
it's coming here.
Did my sprints. And
yeah,
that was a gut check, man. My nose is running the whole time. The good thing is that when it's cold, you get it over with quickly.
Exactly.
You run faster. Those walks.
There's no lollygagging.
Yeah, the walks back to the start are more jogs. You don't dick around, man. You'll haul ass. Like, how fast can I get these 12 runs done today? Because I want to get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, we have a great guest. We're going to get to him in a second. Just wanted to give some shout-outs to our VIPs. And VIPs are people that are actively supporting the show. They're going beyond just giving us reviews and retweeting, which is also important, but they're taking the next step and actually purchasing products using that coupon code LLA to get 10% off the best nutrition supplements around. So we've got David Kinnebrew, James Page, George Balian, Steve Martin. Could be the actor, maybe.
He's a wild and crazy guy.
Andres Ruzins. You see Steve all yoked out in his next movie or next event. You know why.
He's taking on Carrot Top in Vegas now.
Richard Hanna, David Bauman, Genghis Cohen. Now, that's a cool name.
I thought you were going to say Genghis Khan. I was about to say, whoa.
Genghis Cohen. I was like, hey, man, Genghis Khan just bought my products. John Hayes, Damont Brown, Mike Finn, and Steve Barr. You guys are awesome. You're all using that coupon code LLA to get 10% off the best products around. And if you really want to go beyond that to support the show, buy stuff and don't use the coupon code. And I'll keep that extra 10%. Go have some fun with it. And anything going on over on Patreon or elsewhere?
Well, also a new Warrior Training supporter. We got Renee Kenner. One thing about it, man, the cold weather must be really kicking in because these Sharia doors are getting out of here, man. Like, every week it's starting to sell more and more. And right now in production with some brand new Sharia doors, man. These things, they're going to be badass, man. And this time around, it's going to be made right here in the USA. Right in the USA great craftsmanship, man. They're going to love it. They're going to love it. That's in the works. That's almost ready to roll out. But thank you, Renee, for getting your Sharia door. Like I said, they're rolling out more and more of those, man, and I'm loving it. And also, we want to talk about our VIPs over at Patreon as well, which is very important. Patreon supporters. We could use that P in so many ways. So, well, first of all, big shout out to Dr. Julio Garcia, who's a guest on the show, but also now is a monthly Patreon supporter. See, that's what I'm talking about right there, man. That's how you step it up. Also, to Mike Conley, Chris, Elvis Torres, Wayne Sanders, Prince Bell, Jan Kramer, Greg Moores, and also David Brower. These are just some of the current Patreon supporters that we have right now. The only one missing right now is you, right? The one that's listening right now. So head over to patreon.com/LLA podcast and become a monthly supporter of the show. Go over there, look in that box where it says that $1 right there. Put a 0 behind that. Become a monthly supporter for the show that you love, man. And also keep sharing it with everyone out there. So, yeah, big shouts out to all those VIPs.
We have Valentine's Day coming up, and some of you guys are thinking, do I need that estrogen blocker? And it's like, well, should I get on Mike's EC? It's like, well, here's a couple of things.
If you got to ask the question, that already answered the question.
You have to ask the question, but there's more alarming methods to know whether you need it. And one is, if your wife can motorboat you, it's time to get on EC. If your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, hey, no judgment here, if they're thinking, man, if they're motorboating you, that's not a good sign. So that's a clear sign you have way too much conversion of testosterone to estrogen. Get an ASTB. It does have some blockage of conversion, but EC is the most pronounced estrogen blocker out there, so keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Let's do
Been thinking about that joke all morning.
Well played, Mahler. Well played.
One of those things you just had to get it out. All right. So we have a great guest today. We have Adam Blake, who's the bassist for the New York City hardcore band H2O. Fantastic band. They actually have a new record out, and it's called Use Your Voice. And some of my favorite songs on it are Thick and Thin, Use Your Voice, Still Dreaming. And they're actually going to be at the Punk Rock Bowling Festival in May in Vegas. So I can't wait for that. I'm definitely going to check it out. Adam, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's great to have you.
Super stoked to be here.
And there's so many interesting things to talk to you about. You do a plant-based diet. You are
I must confess that I recently stopped eating purely plant-based.
Okay, you're eating human meat. Okay, well, we'll get into that too. And then you're also an avid fitness person. You do a lot of workouts, stay in shape. So we're going to talk about all that. But you brought up an interesting discussion point before we started recording, and that's about Phil Anselmo and the racist comments he made recently at an event. So let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where you want to be able to separate the art from the artist. I mean, I like Pantera.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but can I still listen to it the same way? You know, I mean, am I going to hear it now and it's just going to be tainted forever? I mean, it's such a shitty situation. I mean, it's not surprising though. I mean, the guy's kind of always presented himself as a redneck. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
That's kind of it's like, you guys are Judas Priest fans?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so remember when Rob Halford came out the closet?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't know about you guys, but it wasn't a shock.
No.
All
the black leather and spikes and all that.
It's like saying, hey, Freddie, did you know Freddie Mercury from Queen was gay? Like, really?
I kind of knew it was coming, you know? And then
surprised if he wasn't, right?
Exactly. Like George Michael. It's like, oh, we weren't surprised. Come on.
You know, I was a little surprised by George Michael, but I grew up
Really?
in England. It was
Well, in England, everyone looks gay.
We're a race of flamers. But like, Phil's been kind of on this whole redneck kick, you know, waving the Confederate flag and stuff. So,
but see, for me, I'm in Texas, so it's kind of like, But then it just kind of come. I guess it's when everybody starts sending me the link. Like, what do you think about this? I'm like, Louisiana. You know what I mean? Come on. I don't know, man. It's just it wasn't that shocking, but it was very, to me, just kind of like. Just with the entire legacy, like with Dimebag Darrell, all those guys just kind of like, it kind of sucks, man. You know, for him to go ahead.
Like we were talking about, Rob Flynn's video,
was
such a perfect response to it, such a grown-up approach, you know.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, it's cool in a way that when someone says something like that it is major news, and a lot of people do kind of step back in horror. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just a word, but it's just words, but it's kind of a shitty thing for someone to say.
But, you know, of course, there's always the argument. I've been seeing that, too. It's been, like, hilarious watching some of the comments, man. And you have some people, well, you know, that's supposed to be a problem. But then you got someone like Public Enemy, and they start talking about black power. Like, really? We're reaching for that? And so it's been all this back and forth about that, man. And it's amazing because it really helps you kind of see just where a lot of people are. You know, a lot of people start coming out of the closet. I mean, in fact, this whole political year, the past 12 months, actually the last 7 years with Obama being president, you really start to see people come out of the closet who they really are with their opinions. You know, and they're getting bolder and bolder now. It seems like with Trump, they're really feeling bold now. It's like, you know, and then they say like, well, you know, he's torn this country apart. You know, speaking of Obama, but this racism has been here. It's what started this country. Don't act like this is all new.
Like or hate Obama, no president has been more disrespected than this guy. You know, he's doing a State of the Union address and someone yells,
liar.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's never happened to any president before.
Right.
And there's clearly a racial component of that.
Right.
But this whole thing with verbiage like Black Power, I mean, with Black Power, it's about empowering black people, not hating white people. Right. But when someone puts out a swastika sign and says white power, that's not about empowering white people.
I hear you, but I see that swastika and I'm like, I see what you mean. I can truly see what you mean with that.
That's not like a way to galvanize white people and say, hey, let's take charge of our lives and improve our communities and all that. That's more of a sign. That's more of a
the hate is there. You know, there it is. When you hear the hate is there for the most part, and when you hear Black Power, there is this lack of love, but we want to start finding more love for yourselves. That's where that is going. It's not saying, hey, white power, let's just go out and just start taking out everybody that's not black. You know, and let's just make it a solid black race. Like, no, it's not the same. So you're reaching for straws when you go there, people.
I mean, when someone says WP or wears a T-shirt like that, like I automatically kind of just think you're not my kind of guy. You're probably fairly lowbrow individual. You know, I haven't met too many smart white power people in my day. tends to attract a particular breed of moron.
a particular inbreed of.
It's like that show, The Outsiders, on WGN, man. Now you should definitely check that out, man.
People always try to bring up these double standard types conversations, though, right? Like with Cain Velasquez,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
And again, that's not him saying I hate white people. That's more having pride in his ethnicity.
Right.
It's just the way it is. If white power was never associated with hate and Hitler and all that, then it would be different. But it is. Right. So you're automatically going to get thrown in that bag.
Yeah, and I think deservedly so too. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a white male. You know, like there's no door closed to me. I can get a taxi at 5 a.m. in any city. You know what I mean? And I'm not offended when I hear Black Power at all. I totally understand it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, you're talking about cultures that have been, you know, they're definitely been held down. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, you know?
Right.
And hopefully in, you know, a couple of generations' time, that will be offensive because everyone will be living on a much more even playing field than they are now.
Right.
Yeah. But hopefully it'll be gone in a couple of generations. They won't even remember because it's to the point where, it's funny because I just posted a video. They were going out asking these students at Texas Tech just these simple things like, you know, like pretty much who won the Confederate, you know, who won the Civil War, and they didn't even know who's the vice president. All these things. If they're forgetting history like that, it's just a matter of time before they forget things like the civil rights movement and white power. It's funny, like who won the when was the Civil War? And one of them said it was in the 1960s, right? Like, you idiot. That's the civil rights movement. That's a different thing right there. But so if this generation is already forgetting little things like that, and you know who the Americans fought in the Revolutionary War, if they're forgetting that now, it's just a matter of time when things like you know, just Hitler and all those, they're going to be forgotten too, and white power and racism and Ku Klux Klan and all this different stuff, man. So maybe there's some good in them starting to forget things and not know certain things. You know?
Also, I mean, generally, whenever someone talks about the double standard, it's always someone who's never experienced racism.
Yeah, and it's either that.
So they don't get it. So
one of two things. They've never experienced it, or that whatever it is, that double standard is speaking to them. They're part of that double standard, and they're trying to make an excuse for themselves. Like, well, come on, guys. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, you know, it's just a word.
I do like seeing less and less people talk in terms of race, and what I mean by that is, like in Las Vegas, it's very metropolitan in terms of diversity. So you see a lot of interracial dating and things like that, where people are not thinking.
You're not looking twice when you see a mixed couple.
I'm an Asian girl who I like black guys. No, she just likes that guy.
Yeah, it's
exactly. She's not necessarily with him because he's a black guy. She just likes him for him, and vice versa. He's not like, he doesn't have like an Asian girl fetish necessarily. He just likes this girl.
Exactly.
You know, that's just one example. So it's less and less thinking in terms of, okay, here's I'm from this race, so I have to think this way.
Exactly.
It's definitely becoming a more progressive society. I mean, you guys are the wrong side of 40, I assume.
Yes.
Me too. So I remember when I was a kid, like there were comedy shows that nowadays were just straight racist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that kind of thing wouldn't fly anymore. So I definitely think we're moving in the right direction. We're not at our destination yet, but I'm positive that we'll get there, you know?
Right.
I
remember MASH, my favorite. MASH is kind of a drama comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a character, a black guy, a doctor, in the first couple seasons.
I forgot about him. I was like, wait a minute, there was a black guy in the show.
Everyone nicknamed him Spear Chucker. I was like, what? What did they just call him?
But this is also the era that also gave us Archie Bunker, too. You know? Yeah. But, you know, the good thing about that is it spun off the Jeffersons. So it's kind of like, it was like a tit for tat right there. It's just like, and it was very acceptable.
That's their way of just coming full circle. It's like,
exactly.
Hey, we're going to get rid of all this negative press real fast.
Exactly. Like, look at this. He's a bigot, you know. Archie. So
then there were shows like Good Times where it's like, okay, people are in their projects and they're all happy, right? It was like this.
No, I'll do you one better, Mike. There are people in the project Chicago of all places who never locked their doors.
Yeah, right.
Every episode, somebody just walked into the Evans house. I'm like, really? Have you ever been to Chicago? Would you do that? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Very unrealistic.
But you're right. Yeah, television. I mean, first of all, television just in general is way better now than it ever has been. I mean, there's so many different good shows. There's better shows than there are movies.
Exactly.
I was just in Europe for 2.5 weeks on tour. I made it through 4 seasons of The Wire.
That's a great show.
Oh, what a show.
Yeah, that's a great show. Idris Elba was
Yes.
incredible in that.
Yeah, he just got double Golden Globes, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Just well
Oh,
deserved.
yeah. Beast of No Nation, man. Yeah. If anyone hasn't checked that out on Netflix, definitely go watch that, man. Stellar performance by him. So it's kind of what started this whole little thing about the Oscars and Oscars so white and all that little hashtag and all that, which I don't know. That right there is kind of it was a mixed thing when it was started by Will Smith and his wife. It's kind of because, there was no nomination. Basically, he didn't get nominated for Concussion. Okay, first one is the comments on that was hilarious because they were like, "Wait, did you listen to that accent that you had, dude? It was kind of all over the place. It was the worst Nigerian accent ever." So
yeah, maybe it just wasn't a good performance.
Exactly.
It wasn't racial. It just wasn't any good.
But he tried to flip it. It's like, there's no representation. There were no nominees. This is the second year in a row there were nominees that were black. I'm just like, okay, well, that kind of just hits me in a different way. Like, okay, why do you need? This goes with anyone, any award show. Why do you need this acceptance when you're already, dude, you're one of the top paid actors in the freaking world?
So why does it have to be forced? Why does there have to be a black nominee?
Why do you need the acceptance?
Maybe there just wasn't a good performance that year. Maybe
Exactly.
some years there are, some years there aren't, right? Why is it? So, if there isn't a white nominee, then that's going to be a problem too. It's like, well, come on.
Again, my thing is, dude, you're getting paid, you're getting roles, and at the same time, there's a double standard with them as well. But how many jobs out there are when you and your wife have your production company? How many new up and coming black actors who are probably freaking talented as all get a chance to be a part of any of your projects? Okay, so my thing is you got to walk the walk and talk the talk, and then don't try to flip it and try to make it a very political thing just because it was really a personal thing, and try to take the heat off yourself. So my thing is own it. And my thing is, again, why do you need to be accepted and be rewarded? Why does it have to be like this freaking popularity contest?
Right.
When you're already successful, go out and do. First of all, it goes to show me you're not busy doing enough good stuff on your own. Why are you worrying about this? Why do you care? So it's just like us trying to go out and get a podcast award every year. I'm like, I'm too busy trying to produce a good show here with Mike to be worrying about getting a podcast award. What does that do for us if we get one? So
it's kind of strange to do talent competitions anyway, which ultimately is what the Oscars are, the
Exactly.
Grammys are.
Sure.
It's so subjective,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Like, how do you define this guy's performance is better than that?
And that guy, exactly.
And when it comes to critics, I'm not a big fan anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, just kind of like those pundits on ESPN the week after, the day after a game, or the guys who sit around on like the MMA shows and want to talk about a UFC fight that they have like, you've probably never been punched in the face a day in your life, but you got a criticism about this fighter and why his performance was not up to par the night before. Like, really?
I would listen to fighters
I-
commentary any day.
Yeah. I went over to the M Casino to watch the UFC this past weekend.
Right.
And I just caught the very end of the Bader Johnson fight. I
Yeah.
went there and I just saw Bader get knocked out the second I walked in.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just watching the recap, and there's a guy there who's Mr. Know-It-All talking about the fights. And then Anderson Silva's name comes up on the screen for some reason. I forget why. Maybe it was most consistent knockouts or most
it
consecutive
was.
knockouts.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy's like, oh man, if Anderson Silva ever fights Johnson, I'm gonna bet $1 gazillion on Silva. That guy is badass, man. I was like, yeah, he was.
I'm like, okay, tell me, wait a minute, is this guy, did he just get out of prison? Did he just get out?
Exactly.
I mean, because this was.
I was like, is this 4 years ago? Is this 2016 or 2012? Did I just go in a time loop here? Because, yeah, at one time I probably would have agreed with you, but now he's going to get destroyed. First of all, they're in different weight classes.
Right.
Silva can fight at 205, but there's no reason why those two would ever fight. And if they did, I don't see Silva doing that well against that caliber fighter anymore. Not now.
Yeah, not at this
Bad
point.
matchup.
Not from this video. I just saw Silva training. I mean, I have to send it to you, Mike. It's like I was like, what am I watching? What is this fuckery I just witnessed right now?
Like the weird, like Smith machine.
Yes, with the mask on. I'm just like, what is he doing?
Maybe he's trolling us,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this can't be
He must
real.
have a sense of humor. That can't be serious.
No,
It's kind of funny when people have to add a lot of unnecessary elements to their training. It's like, okay, I'm going to do heavy double kettlebell presses, and I'm going to wear a mask while I do it.
Yeah, but you need to see what he's doing on the Smith
yeah,
machine, though.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
beyond the mask. It's just like, what in the hell? He's doing like this tippy toe thing on the Smith machine. I'd rather see someone do curls in the squat rack and see what I was.
It'd probably be as useful. But I mean, inversely, it always bums me out when in that kind of situation where someone's like, Anderson Silva's a scrub, and it's like,
Oh yeah,
really?
sure. No,
He'll scrub you right off the ground,
Like,
buddy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even the lowest tier UFC fighter will likely kick most people's asses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, the hot wings and beer drinking dude that's sitting up in the stands.
Well,
Hell
that's what
yeah.
I'm saying.
People have no clue.
No.
And when you think about it logically, it makes sense, right? Like someone who's never worked out before, they're not going to walk in the gym and just deadlift 500 pounds.
Right.
So why would someone sitting on a couch, like Sincere said, who's never been in a fight in his life, watching professional fighters put in years of hard work to get to where they are, think that he has a chance?
Exactly.
You have no clue. People go spar with someone who's even at just an amateur level, and you'll realize real fast, oh shit, I'm way out of my element here.
Like, I've been lucky enough to roll with a lot of jiu-jitsu black belts, and just it's such a humbling experience.
Yeah, you're just helpless.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm helpless right here. This guy can do whatever he wants. I'm helpless right here.
There are levels to this shit, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And those guys are on another one.
Yeah. So
Sometimes,
it's
like
amazing.
someone gets punched and they're like, "Oh man, he gets knocked out easily." I was like, "Yeah, let's see how well you do." A professional fighter who weighs 250 pounds punched him on the chin and he got knocked out. Wow, what? That's just mind-boggling.
That's the kind of punch that'll change the average guy's life.
Yeah.
That's the kind of punch that changes most of those fighters' lives because a lot of times they never come back from that knockout, man.
You know, it comes back to the old thing. There's two kinds of guys in this world. There's guys that have had their ass kicked in the past and guys that haven't had their ass kicked. The guys that have had their ass kicked in the past are always respectful of you know, athletes. And
That's
fighters.
so true.
That's true, man.
Guys that have never had that beating, never got their ass kicked when they were young, they missed on a very formative learning experience.
Yes, they did.
Usually I don't like to hang out with those dudes too much. Because
they somehow feel that they're invincible because they haven't.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're just lucky. But you haven't gone your whole life without getting your ass kicked because you're a badass and everyone's trying to avoid you. You know? You're just lucky.
Yeah, I can't sit there and talk crap about how I would never lose my billions of dollars and I've never had it. You know, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I learned everything from any ass whipping I ever got.
Oh yeah. One thing about it, and I was just watching this video with Brandon Lee, and we just talked about all the things that so many events happen in our lives that, you know, stop harping on things because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna forget that. You're gonna move on. So quit trying to find these little negative things and trying to hold on to them. It's just like with your childhood. Is like there's those afternoons where you go outside and at that moment as a kid, that's like the greatest day of your life, and you're just like, God, it's gonna always be like this. But now, you know, as you said, we're on the wrong side of 40. Do we even remember that day anymore? You know, that's the thing about it. So that's just the thing, man. Just you gotta keep. I don't know, but one thing about it, I can remember those ass whoopings, and I learned a lot from them. And those days stick with me, and that makes me sit back and like, nah, you know what? He's a bad man. He's better than me. That's usually my phrase. Like, yeah. Couldn't be me. I'd rather not by choice. And that's the thing about it. Who actually wants to go and get an ass whooping by choice? And that's what these fighters do. They're going to get an ass whooping by choice. That says a lot right there. That says a lot right there. So these other guys that sit there and criticize them, would you go get your ass whooped by choice? Would you get your ass whooped for a price? You know, how much is an ass whooping worth to you?
You wouldn't even make it through the training.
Exactly. I'm like, how much is an ass whooping worth?
But you're going to get your butt kicked in the gym where there's no glory or anything.
And you're paying for that one. You're not getting paid.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to pay for the membership.
No, but this whole wrong side of 40 thing, I just want to make it clear I'm on the right side of hormone optimization. Okay?
Well, amen, bro.
Bam. There you go.
Amen. Amen.
My hormones are better now than they were when I first started studying all this stuff
exactly.
when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. So boom. How about that?
Hell yeah.
No, let's go back to this whole racism discussion, though. We went on a nice, interesting tangent there. But what did you think about Phil Anselmo's response, Adam?
Well, the first response I heard was that he was talking about white wine.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Right. Yeah.
But then there was another one where it was a video.
Yeah, the video.
Yeah.
The video, I mean, look, there are people in this world that have a really dumb sense of what they think is funny or appropriately shocking.
Right.
And they'll say things that they may not mean in necessarily a hateful way. It comes from a place of just stupidity. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's tough. Like you want to give people the opportunity to get redeemed and, you know.
Sure.
But
Sometimes though, when someone says something, like I always put it this way, right? When someone feels really comfortable, what they say in that environment is what they really believe.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Example,
like Donald Trump,
like Michael Richards and Kramer, when he went on that whole racist tirade, he's like, we should string you people up and we should go back. I mean, where is that coming from? That's deep in his psyche. The fact that he got so angry with a heckler, a black guy, that those words came out, right? Like if I meet a black guy, he's an asshole, I'm not thinking N-word right away. I'm just like, this guy's a dick.
Asshole, yeah.
It's like, fuck off, dude. I'm not gonna be like, fuck off, you N-word, N-word, N-word. You know?
Right.
Yeah, so that was kind of what I was alluding to, like with Donald Trump. Like I said, he's given so many people a pass to finally let it out, come out of the closet. Yes, finally, someone that thinks like me, and he has a bigger stage, so it must be okay. They're letting him say it on TV, so why can't I think like that?
Well, I mean, YouTube shows a lot of the cowardly racism, right? So these are people who have these anonymous names, and now they feel like they can just say whatever they want. Like there'll be like a Beyonce video, and they're just going on and on.
Dude,
and on.
I have one on my video. It's just like on a Sprint video that I put out from like years ago. Like, oh, there they go. The spirit chunkers are good at running, boy. That's what they can do. In fact, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and approve this comment. And of course, this dude got roasted. I just sat back and just let him I let everyone just have it. Man, I was like, oh, here you go.
But that's someone that you could have met in person that you would never have.
He would never say
that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean is that there's a lot of racism that's cloaked nowadays, and to some extent there's a lowering of racism, but to another extent it's just more cloaked now, where people realize that it's not as socially acceptable as it used to be, so they're like, well, let me keep that under wraps. But if they've had a few drinks and then you make it clear, like if I went into a bar and said, oh man, all these black people doing this and that, some people may be offended, but there may be one person who's like, oh yeah, man, I've been thinking the same thing for a long time, and now that you've said it, I have permission to see what I think.
Now, speaking of that, I will say this, talking about being the black guy on the panel here, I will say that a lot of times in our culture, we do play the part of also validating this. So when I say that, even in our music, we sit there, okay, let's really think about it. Who's pretty much buying most of the music you hear in hip hop now? It's going to come from white customers. Okay. And so here's the problem I always have where, you're at a concert and, let's just say we're at a Kanye concert and every other word is the N word. Hell, there's a song him and Jay-Z have is N words in Paris, so when you're sitting there and your audience is pretty much 90% white, they're thinking like, well, I paid for this concert ticket and I love this song, so I should be able to sing it. And as soon as they get ready to say it, it's very uncomfortable because they're kind of looking over at me like, I really want to sing the chorus of this song, but damn, look at that dude with the dreads right next to me. I don't know. I don't know if he's cool or not with that.
Black guy near me and I can't sing the lyrics.
Exactly. So, and I'm sitting there thinking like, it's a catch-22 for me because I'm like, do I really get upset that this dude's going to say the word when this fool on the stage here pretty much gave him permission to say it because this dude's money pretty much gave him the right to sit there and sing these lyrics because he bought the album, he bought a concert ticket, and the dude on the stage had pretty much given him approval. But then you're going to sit there and say, don't say that. I mean, it's very awkward because, we're in a performance culture, an entertainment culture where all these things are also validated. The same people that try to sit there and vilify, they try to bring down like Phil Anselmo. These are also the same people who are pretty much putting out that product for the masses to buy and giving them permission to do it.
The whole thing of, it's okay for us to say this to each other, but we don't want you
exactly.
Guys. It's like, which one is it?
Here's the phrase that kills me that I hear.
Right?
It gets on my nerves when I hear it. It's a term of endearment. No, it's not. Trust me. There's not one Jewish person walking around here calling themselves a Nazi, and saying it's a term of endearment. They've taken on the word, or whatever.
Jewish people are not walking around calling each other kikes or something.
Kikes,
like
exactly. It's a term of endearment,
What's
like
up,
no.
Kike? No one's gonna say that.
No, so I'm like, stop that madness right there. I'm like, it sucks. The word sucks because it's more than just a word. It was a weapon. It was used as a weapon for so many decades and centuries there. So just stop that, man. So, and like I said, it's that catch-22, just like you were saying, Adam. And it puts you in a very awkward position. So, yeah.
Yeah. I just think as a language, we need to get rid of some of those words for a few generations. You know what I mean? Maybe later we can start bringing it back in music and culture and stuff. But right now it's still too soon.
Yeah, there's so many much better words out there like dick. You know, if you call someone a dick, I mean, just kind of like, who 9 times out of 10, so everyone's probably going to agree with you at that time. They're going to probably be like, yeah, he was being a dick. No one feels uncomfortable about it.
You go old school. Call someone a fool.
A fool, yeah.
Fool.
I remember growing up as a kid, just saying that word, you get like slapped. For some reason, he's like, you better not say that word. Don't ever call someone a fool. It was like this, but then you still hear the N word. I'm like, wait a minute, huh? What?
Ignoramus.
Ignoramus.
These words will cut someone to the bone.
Putz, man. What happened to putz? Putz was a good word. I love that. Okay.
Yeah, but I hear you with Phil Anselmo. It's like on one hand, you just want to keep the guys apologizing, so now we're just going to keep harping on. It's like, oh, we don't believe your apology. Well, what are you accepting to do at this point?
Exactly.
So it's on one hand, it's like, okay, it's hard for us to believe that that's not what you really think because you're under that environment of throwing this out. But on the other hand, is you did apologize. Now we have to prove whether you're apologizing.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the flip side of that.
If you're sincere or not.
Yeah, here's the flip side. You got other people who are like, I'll never listen to Pantera again. Okay, why do those guys have to be punished? Because this dude was a dumbass.
It's the art and the artist situation. Can you love the art and hate the artist? Is that possible?
Well, it's like if you found out someone is a child molester and you're like, that would be enough for me to say, okay, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, trust me. R. Kelly came off my iPod in a hurry. Once that video came, I'm like, dude, you can't deny that's you peeing on a 13-year-old girl. No, that was my brother. No, you're nasty.
Right, R. Kelly did.
If there was a video,
but what kills me, he's still on award shows and he's still on the radio. But yet and still, these are the same radio stations that'll sit there and Donald Trump is a racist, blah, blah. But yeah, you're playing R. Kelly, who's a freaking pedophile. He's a pissy pedophile at that. I'm like, come on, people. These double standards are killing me.
Category for himself.
Like, come on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Adam, because you're coming out of a scene where there's been a lot of interesting components of hardcore music. There have been some racist elements over the years, and then there's been a lot of just bringing people together elements as well, a lot of solidarity. There was a time, I remember when I used to go to Chromax shows in the 1990s and other hardcore bands. A lot of times it was cool to be all kinds of people there. Other times it would be somewhat racially divided. There would be fights breaking out. Yeah. It got to the point where the hardcore scene went through a real dark ages at one stage because people just didn't want to go to a show and deal with having to get into a fight every time they went.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'll say about hardcore is tolerant to anything and anybody except white power Nazis.
Right.
Like if that's the hardcore scene has definitely policed that out.
Absolutely.
For better, for the greater good. A lot of people in the 90s and early 2000s fought fights so the kids today don't have to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They made a stand, they cleaned it up, they made it really clear that this was not a genre that you guys are welcome at. And now kids get to go to shows without having to deal with, what some of the older school kids had to go through at shows like you're talking about. You would go to a show and it was possible something was going to happen. Now it's the exception, not the rule.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, it was funny because back in the days you'd hear someone say, "Oh, Roger Moret, that guy's white power." It's like, yeah, he's Cuban.
Yeah.
Or like Freddie Madball. Those guys, Madball's a white power band. It's like, yeah, it's okay. You got Hoya, who's Latino. You got Freddie, who's Cuban as well. Come on.
I mean, even Slayer. Tom Araya is Chilean.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. There's a certain amount of theater, and the desire to shock that definitely exists within extreme music,
Sure.
And you just got to you can walk up to the line, you can put your toe on the line sometimes, but you can't quite step over it.
Well, you guys are definitely about solidarity, though, H2O, because the music is very melodic and it's also very positive. Like I was listening to the new record last night, and I've listened to it many times, but like every song just makes you feel good. It's just a very positive infused music.
Thank you. That was kind of the intent. It's our first record in 7 years, and we're a band that know what we're good at, and we wanted to make a record that if you like the last one, you're gonna like this one. So anthemic, positive lyrics, upbeat music. That was the goal, and I think we did all right.
I mean, some hardcore music is very angry, which I like. I like that too. Your music is more, it's not angry, but it's aggressive in terms of take charge of your life, use your voice, go do some positive things.
Yes.
It's not just singing about, hey, let's all have fun. It's like, let's have fun, but that's actually do some positive things as well.
It's kind of like I mean, there's a term that's used a lot in music about keeping it real, right? Everyone likes to keep it real. Well, for us, keeping it real is writing songs and lyrics that reflect like a positive stance towards things. For some of the bands that are angrier and tougher, that's the life they lead, you know?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of reporting from their lifestyle to the
Cro-Mags, Age of Quarrel, like John and Harley were squatting, and that was their daily reality, survival of the streets. Yeah.
Those guys went through some. I mean, you've read John's book, right?
Oh yeah.
Some crazy times, man.
Oh yeah.
Crazy times.
You can see exactly where that Age of Quarrel came from, because that was their reality. That was their life. They weren't watching movies and saying, "Oh, this would be a cool thing to write about."
I mean, that's why that record sounds the way it does. And ironically, it's why that lineup of the Cro-Mags is in the state it's in. You know what I mean? It's It's right. These are angry. Well, these are intense guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
They make intense music, and that kind of chemistry can't last forever.
That's why the album was so good, but you can't sustain that.
No.
They're not going to make 3 records together because of these strong personalities that just clash. No. Yeah, it's a really interesting storyline, the whole Cro-Mags, like all of the internal battles, and they were just on the periphery of serious success so many times, and they just couldn't transcend.
A legendary band. I mean.
But they could have been as big as Slayer, in my opinion, or Megadeth, or somewhere along. So. If they made 3 records like Age of Quarrel, right? Just even 2. But if they made 3, if that lineup stuck together for 3 records and they made that kind of music, they would have been huge. They could have made a bunch of crap after that, and it wouldn't have mattered.
Man, I gotta say though, Best Wishes ain't bad.
No, I love Best Wishes. Best Wishes
ain't shoddy.
That's what got me in, because I was more of a metal guy than a hardcore guy at that time, and I didn't really care for Age of Quarrel when I first heard it, and then I heard Best Wishes, and I go, this is awesome, and then that was my gateway into Age of Quarrel and a bunch of other hardcore music.
Yeah.
So like even that lineup could have gone on to do really well, because thrash was really big at that time, and that was a crossover record which really went into that. I really like Best Wishes, actually. I thought it was really good.
It just when we talk about this, it reminds me of the days of scouring the thanks list for the next cool band.
Oh God! Right. Oh man! Now you're taking it back to like reading liner notes. No, people don't even know about liner notes now, and reading it like, okay, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? And they have no clue now, which kind of sucks when you think about it.
That was like my referral system.
Thank you. Exactly.
If I saw a band on enough thanks list, that was like they were cool. And
Exactly.
I don't even know who Type O Negative is. But
exactly.
Look at the record. They're thanked on like 4 albums already.
Yeah, exactly. Or the bands are wearing their T-shirts. You have to go check it out. Exactly. Like I got into Faith No More because Metallica was wearing the T-shirt. I was like, I got to find out who these guys are.
I got into the Misfits because Metallica.
Right.
They were like Misfits uniform band for years. That's all they wore.
Yeah. Their shout out list was my shopping list. Like, okay,
Exactly. I tell you guys, as much as like scouring the thanks list as a kid was fun, back in the 90s and early 2000s when we had to make them, it is terrifying because God forbid
you forget someone.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
or you thank the band in the wrong way. There was as many discussions over the thanks list as there were over the music sometimes.
Whereas as the person reading it, you would get pissed off like, big shouts out to all our friends who supported us. I'm like, really? That's all you're gonna give me? Give me some names, man. I can't go buy. I can't.
Everyone wanted their name on the list.
Exactly. I can't go to Kmart and buy, all our friends. Who the hell is that? I need a list of
some of those lists would get pretty long. I mean, there'd be 100 bands, and you're like, I gotta go for research on these guys.
Well, just think about it from a hip hop perspective.
And had a cassette demo. And
Well, that's the other thing is like so many of those bands. By the time you found out who they weren't even around anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, man, these guys have been done for 5 years. I just found out about them.
Yeah, that was a big thing in early hip hop as well. They give shout out all these guys, all these hip hop artists that by the time you heard about them, they were either no longer around or they were dead. Just like, okay, well, hey man, you got who's DJ Scholar Rock? Oh, he got shot. Really? But I just heard him on the album with KRS One. Like, yeah, he died before the album was finished. I'm like, what the hell, man? So
from the rock.
Yeah.
But when it comes to hardcore, if the band is broken up, that doesn't tend to always be the case for that long.
No, that's true.
No.
That's true.
A lot of bands kind of step out for a while, take some years off, and then come back.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because Freddie Madball and I were talking about that when they did a show out here a while back, and on one hand, Freddie's like, yeah, it's cool to see all these bands coming back, but on the other hand, he's like, where were they when we needed them? You know, we're out here like continuing to build this scene, keeping this scene alive.
For sure.
You know, we didn't just take off for 10 years and wait for someone else to resurrect it and then come back and capitalize on it.
No, I think with reunions, my philosophy is if you come back, you can play maybe a year's worth of shows, and then you should contribute something.
Right.
I don't care if it's up to your previous work's part, but at least put some skin in the game, you know?
Right.
Make another record, you know, do something like that, and then I'm just, you know, keep going. But ultimately, if it makes someone happy, puts a smile on someone's face, who am I to judge, you know?
Sometimes those reunion shows are depressing because it's like, here's the band 30 years later, and they're still playing music from 1986 or 1989. There's nothing new, right?
That is true. It always sucks when you see a reunion and it's just no one cares, you know?
Right. Like, just get this check. It's, you know, look, we had some finances go wrong, and, you know, maybe we should just do a tour so we can get some money back in our pocket, feed our families, and then go back our separate ways.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
It's just not the same, though, right? Like, now everyone's excited about this Guns N' Roses reunion, right? You got Axl and Slash and Duff, those three, and I don't know who else, but those three cornerstone people are going to be there. But I saw Guns N' Roses in their prime, the original lineup. They opened up for Iron Maiden in California in
favorite band of all time.
1988. I saw them, and that was the original lineup. What you see now is not going to be like that.
No,
you know, it's not going to be the same experience.
And even if it was the same dudes, it's the same dudes, like, what is it, 25, 30 years later?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
that's what I mean. Like, if Led Zeppelin gets back together, it's not going to be the same as seeing Led Zeppelin in their prime.
Even the drugs they would be using now wouldn't be the same as it was 40 years ago.
Like the audience is not going to be the same.
Exactly.
It's gonna be the same.
Hardcore bands, we got to jump around or people get mad at us. You know, you got to kind of work up to this. Get off the couch and play hardcore. You know, you got to put some time in.
The hardcore is a workout. Like Freddie Madball can make a workout video of what he does on stage.
Right.
It's like just watch Madball and then just mimic what he's doing. You're going to be tired after a minute.
Exactly.
Dude, high-speed arm circles, stomps, jumps.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's doing jump squats for an hour and a half.
Sick front man.
Yeah.
John Joseph, same way. You know, John Joseph's in his 50s. He's a madman on stage.
Yeah, John's a special breed, you know? I don't
So we've heard.
Humans.
But you guys too. You know, I haven't seen you guys live yet. I'm looking forward to it later this year in Vegas. But just watching a lot of clips on video clips, and it's funny to watch you because you're 6'4". You know?
I'm a big guy.
You're jumping up and down. It looks like all these midgets are around you.
I'm not small, that's for sure.
It's like, which one's Adam's? Like, I'll give you a guess.
I'm lucky I'm the bass player. It doesn't look totally ridiculous. I've done some tours where I played guitar. Like I was in a band called Shelter.
Sure, Shelter, yeah.
Back in the 90s, and I played guitar for them. It looks silly, man. The guitar's so tiny on me. It looks like a banjo.
You know what you never see is a front man who's 6'4". You know, front man is usually a 5'6", you know, 5'8".
Yeah, we could go down the front man rabbit hole about their compensating for various things, but we'll stay out of that.
I'm just saying it's interesting though that's the case. Like I go to a lot of concerts. I don't think I've ever been to a concert where the front man is 6 feet tall. Usually it's more the opposite.
Right.
Yeah. Freddie's got some length on him a little bit. He might.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Freddie's at least 6 or close to it. That's true.
Most of them aren't that tall.
Yeah.
Front men are a strange breed.
Like Chris Daughtry, one of my flights one time to DC and got off the plane. I was just like, "Hey man, keep up the great work." And his head was probably like at below my chest level.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this little guy. I can pick him up and throw him.
It's weird though. When you're small, you can get away with moving and dressing and acting a way that just looks ridiculous when you're tall. Like if Prince was 6'4", that purple would look ridiculous. The fact that he's 5'2" kind of makes it look cool, you know.
But I'm sorry, but the ass pants will never be acceptable. I don't care what height you are.
It'd be like Howard Stern when he wore those pants.
Fart man pants.
Yeah, exactly.
Scarred my childhood.
I think he was banned from MTV permanently, which was one of the things I agree with. Yeah, he should have, exactly. That's one of the things that was a smart move. One of the few smart moves they made.
Like, there's something about a man's hairy ass cheek that just goes to me. Call me old school, call me old fashioned.
Exactly. It's funny because I'm just trying to think about any like front man that's like 6 feet tall. I think like Hetfield is like the only one that's coming to my mind right now.
Kind of tall.
Yeah, he's six, I think he's like 6'1", something like that.
Yeah.
Which in music he's Shaq. Okay, in the music
Dave
industry.
Mustaine, he may be close to 6, right?
Mustaine, I don't know.
I'm not sure either. I'm going to see them live in a few months. I'll try to figure it out. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's like I feel like currently I'm like going through my midlife crisis through music. Like I'm listening to all the metal stuff that I was listening to when I was like 16.
Oh really?
That's all I'm listening to. Like on my drive home today, I was listening to Anthrax, Spreading the Disease record.
Yeah,
it's a great
Metallica,
record.
Maiden. Man, what a genre! What an era for music that was.
The golden age of thrash metal was incredible. There were so many good bands coming out at that time.
I know it was like every record was just crazy, and thrash metal was at least in the United Kingdom where I grew up.
Yeah.
Was really positive spirited shows, you know.
Yeah.
Like it definitely didn't bring out goons. It was like it was more wacky than anything else, you know. People were getting drunk and dancing and. It was good, man.
It was just like like raves for the most part. It just seemed like But
it was
one
like
thing about it, man, I will say this.
People went up for haircuts and became ravers.
Exactly, which is right around the time I was DJing. I was like, wait a minute, man. But I can say this much about the UK, man. There's always been this deep appreciation for music, no matter what the genre was. It's just funny. I was just sitting there watching Standing in the Shadows of Motown, this documentary that came out like 13 years ago, you know, and just like, you know, the Funk Brothers, which a lot of people here in the States, they didn't think of Motown. They just think about all the artists, Marvin Gaye, Marvin the Marvelettes and all that. But they never really think about the band, the actual music that was going on, not realizing how many hits these guys put together. But it's funny when they went on this tour, this Tamla tour, you know, that was like an extended of the label of Motown. There's one of the smaller, the sub labels. They did this tour over in the UK. And it's funny, there was this waiting party outside at the airport when the Funk Brothers got off. And they were like, you know, they had all these signs up. And it was a welcoming party for all the guys in the band because everybody in the UK knew who these guys were. And they were celebrated just as much as Marvin Gaye, just as much as the Temptations and all those guys. And the band was shocked. They were just like, wow, these kids over here really do their homework. They look at the liner notes and they learn who the musicians are. And that's one of the things I really... Coming up like in the 80s and 90s, especially with a lot of music, man, you listen to some of these, like even just in the pop genre, you listen to something like George Michael, Culture Club, Rick Astley, people we think might be corny now, but when you heard them on the radio back then, they were on black radio and nobody had a clue that these weren't black guys. They did their homework. They studied this music, man. And even even as far as the musicians themselves, not just the singers, just the way they played, man. There was so much soul in there, and they actually did their homework. They knew the artists, and I always appreciated that about the UK. And even when a DJ was doing raves or whatever else, man, it's like, okay, yeah, today's generation, they celebrate the DJ, which to me, it was always funny. As a DJ, I was like, what are you doing? Don't scream and shout for me. I didn't make this record. I'm just playing the record right now. You know, if anything, I'm hopefully doing a good job of putting it together and creating a mood right now. You know, creating a story with putting these songs together for you for the next 4, 5, 6 hours. But what sucks now is that so many of these kids now celebrate the DJ and not the actual artist. Whereas back in that rave scene, man, people appreciate the fact like, wow, you played that record. I love that record because of this. Because of this artist and that musician. Do you know who was playing bass on that song? You know, that was great to me, man. I mean, that education that you guys have over there, no matter what the genre was.
Even in Europe, a lot of the festivals are really interesting and diverse. You'll have Joss Stone, Slayer, and Hollywood Undead.
Yeah, exactly.
Festival.
And no one questions it.
Everyone gets into it.
No one questions that.
Good music is good music, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Europe especially, you really see that on the big festival stages. Like
the
diversity of, I mean, we played with, I know Madball was on the show, we were on the show, Terror was on the show, Motley Crue's on the show, Ozzy Osbourne's on the show, Zakk Wylde's on the show, and it's just man. And then backstage, everyone's sitting in, you know, catering together.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of a cool thing. Like I feel like once you get backstage, everything kind of levels out, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
We're all shitting in porta potties. We're all lining up for whatever weird food they're serving backstage. Kind of the great equalizer. But sincerely, it's interesting. You remind me of the bygone days where you would really have to be into music and search back and figure out. You'd read a magazine article, and that was your that was your exposure to maybe who the artist you liked was listening to.
Oh yeah.
You would leapfrog that and then read about them, and you would keep going back. Nowadays, I feel like it's very easy to access everything, and I think that's cool in one way, but in another way, I kind of miss that treasure hunter aspect.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, you go and you didn't have that many music magazines that you could actually go get, but back in the day, you can go like you look at sound hits, and you would have all this variety of artists, and not only you get a backstory on them, you'd actually get the lyrics in the magazine as well, and or you'd have like magazines like let's say like like. I don't know, like Revolver or something like that, man. Just
Hit Parader was big.
Hit Parader. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, my mom was just like, gosh, boy, all those magazines. I'm pretty sure if the word hoarder had been around back then, my mom would have called me a magazine hoarder, because I had so many different genres of music magazines all the time, reading about all these different artists, man, because I just loved it. And there was no, okay, it's just, this is metal. You can't listen to this. Don't tell me that. Somebody sounds good. I don't care what it is. I just hated all the categories. It's got to be death metal. There's black metal. It's like, dude, it's rock. Okay, that's what it is.
Kid, Living Colour was the first black metal band.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, that's what we thought metal was.
Yeah.
Well, they're black. They're playing metal. There you go.
There you go.
That's
The first commercially successful one.
Ice-T broke down a lot of barriers when he came out with Body Count.
Body Count,
that was pretty cool. Because I got into Ice-T way, but I was a big metal guy. Got into rap. I really liked Ice-T, and I had no clue Ice-T was into metal. And then he came out with Body Count. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did Warped Tour with him.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting cat. Like, you would see him on the side of the. It was weird. You would see him on the side of the stage, and he was watching the bands, but you could also kind of tell he was, I'd say, studying maybe.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
He was kind of checking it out. What's good? What's kind of working? I mean, I love Ice-T, man. What a successful gentleman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
Everything he's put his hand to, he seems to have done very well at.
Oh yeah.
And I always like to look at people like that, and kind of look at what the commonalities between them are. Like,
exactly.
Oh, it's really interesting. I mean, because he is successful as a rapper. He's got a great metal band that hardcore kids love too, and then he is also a successful actor. He's on Law and Order, one of the longest running shows. Period.
I'm pretty sure he had a best-selling book.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, people even think about how. I mean, this goes back. Him in the movies goes back to breaking. This is like what 82 or something like that, man. It's just like it's not like Law and Order. This was or New Jack City is when you first saw this guy. And also just being smart to attach himself to these projects that are gonna be like these cultural difference makers. Just like being on the soundtrack of Colors at a time where you had the gang problem at its height here in the United States, man. It's just, but it wasn't like he was just, I'm gonna make a song for the soundtrack and get paid. He was in it. He was in the mix of all that, the gang wars and all that on the West Coast. So he saw it firsthand. He knew a lot of those guys. So he was getting a firsthand account. So those lyrics were pretty much, he was just telling their story. And that's one thing Ice-T is great, is telling those stories of the streets, man. And coming from that first person perspective, as well as a third person perspective.
Rappers were like the first bloggers. They would use their records as an opportunity to tell you about a side of life that maybe you didn't want to live, but you certainly wanted to know about.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's back in the day they used to say, at that time, rap was the CNN of the streets. Because CNN didn't want to go to the streets back then. They didn't want to be in the mix of all that. So you started hearing about what was going on the West Coast when you started hearing groups like NWA, Ice-T, King T, all those guys like that. You're like, wow, is it that, Too Short, and all of a sudden you start thinking like, wow, there's a drug game like that. Oh, these is that for real? And then it started leaking into the suburbs, and that's when I think it became like, okay, one or two things are going wrong here. This might influence my child to act that way, or we can make a shitload of money off of this. And suffice to say, the latter is what they ran with right there. Like, okay, let's exploit the hell out of this genre. And so now it's to the point where, these are not even stories anymore. It's just like it's becoming, it's just common everyday thing now. So now you try to rap about your struggle, like, okay, what struggle? Okay, dude, you're not broke. You're not broke. Okay, you walking around, you talking about, you got your Bentleys, you got all this other stuff. Don't try to tell me about your days as a drug dealer. Nope, kind of not valid anymore. Don't want to hear about it.
At that point, they need to sing about other people's struggles.
Exactly.
Like, go to Rwanda, go to Kenya, just go to any third world country and interact with people and come up with some new material. Rather, like your life is not a struggle anymore.
Exactly.
You can't talk about that, but other people's lives are still a struggle. So
don't tell me about your drug game when you were doing it like 25 years ago. Okay.
The way the music industry is, if you're spending your money on Bentleys and mansions, there's a strong probability you'll have some struggle to rap about.
Pretty soon.
That's true.
You will be behind the music. You will be that candidate for that show. Or where are they now? Where are they now? or Dancing with the Stars, which is the new behind the music.
Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah, exactly.
You should call it former.
Definitely stretch out your 15 minutes of fame in the 21st century. That's for sure.
Yeah. There's always
a reality show waiting for you. Okay?
There's always one more level that you can catch onto before as you're falling. It's like, well, I'm at the bottom of the barrel, but
there are a couple of tree limbs you can hit on the way down to kind of slow down the fall.
I see a tree limb for Celebrity Apprentice. Like, hang on to for a minute.
I'm going on celebrity rehab.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So just exploit yourself. As
just
a way
do the
to
reality
stay
show
relevant.
circuit, man. Like, I'm not done yet, man.
I always saw hip hop as kind of taking what punk rock should have been and doing it better. Punk rock was street level music.
Mm-hmm.
It spoke about political ideas. It had a certain dress sense that you could recognize a punk rocker.
Right.
And your parents were scared of it.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, hip hop kind of took that after punk rock dropped the baton and carried it to where it is today. I mean, I can't imagine a world without hip hop. I mean, everything from the way athletes play sports to the kind of energy drinks people put back.
Hell, television wouldn't even. I mean, there wouldn't be one commercial, pretty much, if that were the case anymore.
Would there be BET?
No. Would there be MTV at this point now? Because right now MTV is just a light-skinned BET. Okay, and you can quote me on that one because.
Man, I just got MTV in my cable package. God, so depressing.
Get a refund, man.
I mean,
if you can find the M and MTV, then get back to me on that one because the M has been missing for years.
Is it even music television anymore? It's now they're producing their own shows like Teen Wolf and Shannara Chronicles and things like that. Which is all fine and good, but you need to call yourself something else now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man.
It'd be like if Metallica started making folk music, but they still call themselves Metallica.
Folktallica.
Push that envelope a little bit.
Yeah, with what was that record they did with
Lou Reed?
Lou Reed, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't like Metallica after Master of Puppets. I've said that many times on the show.
Yeah.
About the Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets. Those are masterpieces.
Them and Justice for All, but it's begrudging.
They started losing me on And Justice for All. It's a very the talent level on that record is great, but the music just didn't captivate me. Three. I feel like after Cliff Burton was gone, something changed dramatically in that band. It just wasn't the same. And then everything that came after And Justice for All, though, I still went to see them live. After that, though, forget it. Once that Black record came out, I was like, nah. and I didn't think it sucked. It just didn't speak to me. What's that?
I'm not gonna, I'm not tooting a horn, but the bass players are kind of important in bands.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, very much so.
I mean, that's pretty much like besides the drummer, you're taking away the heartbeat of the group, right there. It's just like put it like this: you've got the heart. And you got to pretty much have like that brain system to work with it, man. And that's that connection right there. Everything else is just like all the rest of the organs of your body.
I wish everyone felt that way.
I mean, because the bass player can do what the drummer can't. If the drummer needs to take a break, the bass player can still carry the rhythm. Okay, I mean that's just another thing I was looking at the Shadows. Standing in the shadows of Motown, man. Just the freaking bassist, man, the stuff that guy was doing. A lot of. Oh my God, dude.
Forget about it.
Oh my gosh. So man, people's gonna get it.
He's at the altar that we all bow down to.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the bass is one of the things that made Chromex stick out so much.
Dude, Harley's sick bass player.
He's an incredible bass. His new record, his bass it's like you hear him playing the bass, it's him right away. Yeah. He has a very distinct sound. Like the first couple chords, you're like, oh, yeah, that's a new Harley song.
He's got that right hand, I think it's from his drumming years.
Yeah.
That's right. Bounce to
it.
He's a great drummer, too. So Chromex always had a very strong bass and drum connection. So there was a lot of rhythm in their music.
Yeah, I mean, just even on a lighter note, just think about Red Hot Chili Peppers. What would they be without Flea? Let's just.
Sure.
I mean, just even the way to sit there and even do a Stevie Wonder song, do Higher Ground. Can you just imagine if Flea wasn't in that group and just the way that shit starts off, man, how can you not get hyped up? I mean, it just added a whole new dimension to that song, to a classic that pretty much you didn't think could ever be touched. Anything with Stevie Wonder is like, okay, it doesn't need any help from anybody. But when they brought their flavor to it, man, especially just the way he opens up, you're like, wow. How can you not get hyped up off of that, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. I love Flea. I think like when I think of music, I split it into there's two kinds of music. There's music you dance to and there's music you listen to, you know?
Yeah, man.
And
yeah.
music you dance to always has a commonality. You know, it's the kind of thing where it's hardcore is music you dance to, pop is music you dance to, R&B is music you dance to, and then you have stuff like classical and jazz. Well, no one's dancing to Miles Davis.
No. Oh, man, did you see the trailer? Have you seen the trailer?
You know what I mean? It's music that you listen to. So dance music always has kind of, and I put H2O in that category too. We're a band that you dance to. I don't think anyone's drinking coffee listening to our albums. and there's a commonality that kind of runs through all that. It's like an energy, like a vibe that.
We always call it it's not a sexual position here, but amongst my friends, in the music industry, we say there's this thing, this hand to mouth syndrome. Basically, when you hear something, like you stop, when your friends are talking, you say, oh, wait, hold on. And then you tell them like, listen. And then you hear it, and you hear the break, and then the first thing you do, you put your fist on, you're like, ooh, damn, did you hear that?
Yeah.
And then you play it, and then what do? You bring it back and listen to it again, like, hold on, one more time. And then again, just that one little section. And there's so many people, so many kids in this generation who are missing that. Just having that experience where you go like, rewind that back again, to the point where you just loop that over and over like, dude, I don't want to stop listening to that breakdown. It's like, damn, and you hear something different every time you listen to that break. Like one little idiosyncrasy, just something like, oh my God, did you hear when he hit that? Did you hear the way he just went down the fret right there? We hit the pedal. You can actually hear him hit his foot on the pedal. Did you hear it? Things like that, man. And that's missing now in music in so many ways, as far as what's out there now and what's being pushed out there now.
Man, when music hits, you feel no pain.
No, exactly. So yeah, man.
I have a client who loves like Tiesto and all those new kind of acts. And,
right.
And I hate to sound like an old man, but I'm like, it just sounds like noise to me.
Let me tell you, taking from a guy that used to play in those environments, used to do raves and all that. I'm just like, it's so manufactured, man. It's like there's, even as a DJ, when those guys are up there, the soul is missing. And there's so much lying behind those turntables because those guys are not even really putting the music together. They're letting their computers do all the work for them. Right. I mean, it's to the point where they don't even have to really know the BPMs of a song. They can actually just program it into their computers or whatever and make it drop down to that BPM. There's no art in that. There was a time when you actually had to sit there and think like, you know what? I can't play these two songs together because one is sharp and one is flat. And putting those two tones together, it's going to sound just like ass, okay? And it's going to be a screeching halt when I play this. Or if you're a DJ and you train wreck, which means the beats didn't match, you knew like, you know what? I should never mix these two songs together ever again because they're not around the same tempo and it really throws the flow of the crowd off. But now they don't care. They were train wreck and actually treat it like it's art now. Whereas two songs, that one's going about 80 beats per minute, another one's going about 100 beats per minute, and they're just going all off beat, and these kids are cheering these guys. I'm like, you realize that's all wrong, right? It's just like, how can you even dance to that? Because you're dancing to two different songs at the same time, which means your left foot is doing 80 BPMs and your right foot is doing 100 BPMs, and you look special right now. You look spastic.
It's ecstasy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've stepped over many e-puddles in my days, raving.
I don't know what an e-puddle is.
An e-puddle is when you got like a kid so high on ecstasy they're passed out on the floor of the rave, and everybody doesn't even bother picking them up or trying to get them help. They just step over them. And there's a lot of those. That's what we used to call e-puddles. So it's sad. This was the late 90s, and this is the reason why I was like, one of the reasons I got out of that scene, especially once my daughter was born, I'm like, hell, man, I don't want to be the guy DJing 20 years now, because there's some rave DJs, there's some DJs that are old as hell. They've been doing this for a long time. I didn't want to be that guy and my kids at a freaking rave. And now they're, them or one of their friends, they're all high off ecstasy somewhere. And I'm up there pumping my fist in the air like I'm doing something big up there. I didn't want to be that guy, man. It's amazing
like
how
Rock says, you don't want to be the old guy in the club.
Never want to be that guy.
You don't want to be in the club, period.
Exactly.
Nothing productive is happening. Nothing productive. Nothing productive is happening there.
No.
Like Sincere says, like, you don't have to worry about going to the club and seeing me there. That's a good way to phrase it, man.
Hey, man, I take a page out of my mom's book, man. Like, look here, man. Usually, put it like this, 12 o'clock, I'm at home. The only thing to open after 12 are legs, okay? So I don't need to be out.
I think that's why live music will always keep bands alive, because people want that experience. They want to see a real band performing music, not someone on a keyboard, not someone on a laptop,
punching buttons, and they got their mix program for the night, or their song program for the night. They're doing everything off of that.
My favorite thing to do in Vegas is get a VIP table at a band I really like and go to a show live. So there you are, comfortable, away from the masses, enjoying great music, good view of the stage. And you can do that way cheaper than getting a table at a club where what are you going to get there? You're paying
bottle service,
$700 to $1,000 for a fucking table at a club to listen to some shitty ass music, and people are trying to talk in there. You can't fucking hear anything anyone's saying.
What's funny to me is spending $1,000 on bottle service for a bottle of Moet that costs $25 at Kroger. Exactly. It costs $25 at Kroger, dude.
And by the way, if I'm getting bottle service, can I get freshly squeezed orange juice, please? Can you not give me fucking Tropicana for like $800?
For $1,000, a BJ better come with that.
Exactly. I'm gonna need more than just bottle service, okay? There are a couple other B's that need to be serviced while I'm sitting in this section.
You get a VIP table at a concert with a great view of the stage and an open tab or whatever you want for way less than going to some crappy ass club. So that's one cool thing about Vegas, is that the concert experiences out here are incredible. If you're a fan of live music and going to shows, this is a great place to be.
Yeah, I've played Vegas many times, and I've always usually with other bands, and it's always great to watch the shows there.
Are you guys usually on Fremont Street? One of the clubs there?
It changes all the time. Like, we've played Hard Rock. We played we did 2 nights with Pennywise back in the day at some place that I can't even remember. It was really off strip. There's some country club, something country club.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. That's in Las Vegas.
That place is cool.
Yeah, it is. That's a good venue.
I think with live music, what makes a show really great isn't necessarily what happens off the stage. It really is the audience,
That's for sure.
The energy.
Like, if you have a good crowd in the room, then everybody gets lifted up. Through some kind of osmosis.
I saw Upon a Burning Body, like Texas band, and I was definitely the oldest guy in that room, no doubt about it. But I had a good time with these young kids. Everyone was really into it. The energy was incredible. It was actually I went to a lot of shows last year. That's one of the few that really sticks out, because the energy from the crowd was so good.
That's what makes it beautiful, man. If the crowd is engaged and the crowd is excited, then you can't help but be lifted up by that.
That's right. You couldn't help but just get into it more. You're not going to just stand around and watch. You see this energetic crowd. You're like, all right, I'm going to get in that.
Yeah. And then the band's job is almost inconsequential, because they just have to get the crowd going, and the crowd will return the favor to the band, and it just becomes kind of this cyclic relationship of energy.
But some bands you go to, like Alice in Chains, saw them, and everyone is just sitting in their chairs, texting and drinking their vodka, drinking their martinis, and watching the band. There was a guy behind me. He's like, "Oh, I was standing up, jamming out." And the guy behind me, like, "Oh, can you sit down? I can't see." And I was like, "Stand up, motherfucker! Exactly. We're at a rock concert.
You're at a concert right now, dude. This is not the opera.
Yeah, it's a rock show, damn it.
We're not at the movies. How can you sit down to this music?"
It's rough.
Oh man.
Yeah, I saw Chris Cornell, and it was the same thing. Just like
I saw him too. Yeah. Seated
audience, and Chris is screaming and sounds amazing, but looks like he's as interested as a guy shopping for avocados. Do you know what I mean? It was.
That's why I like seeing a lot of the younger bands, because they get a younger audience that's going to be way more into it.
And those younger bands are usually a lot hungrier.
Yeah,
okay. They're not a little jaded. They haven't been around the block a few times, We're kind of like, you know what? You're not on the stage like, you know what? Fuck these people. I'm getting my check. I'm getting paid at the end of the night. Yeah. So it's not like that for most of them.
A band from 30 years ago going through the motions.
No.
Oh hell no. Like, you need to be excited that you're breathing right now, that you actually survived all the drug overdoses that you went through. You need to be up there celebrating life.
I'll tell you who's still great though, who've been around forever. Scorpions. Those guys are awesome.
I love the Scorpions.
Scorpions are incredible, man. I saw them when I was a teenager, and they were great. I saw them in 2012, and they were just as good, if not better. That lead singer was crushing it. The whole band was really into it. I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I go, this could be really lame, given how many years later it is. But they still sounded great, and their stage energy was incredible.
Maiden too. Maiden still slaughter it live.
Yeah. I love Iron Maiden. I remember I saw them in '88 as well, and they were incredible.
Yeah, they still. We were in Australia with those guys on a festival tour, and I watched them every night. They're like my formative band, you know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see guys that have been in the game for so long have absolute material opulence. So you know they're not doing it for a paycheck because they can put their feet up for the rest of their life and still giving it 100% for the audience. I mean, there's a lesson to be learned there for sure, you know.
I think what's tough for a band like Iron Maiden is that they still make new music that's great, but no one necessarily wants to hear it.
And that's the thing, it's like
they're stuck doing their greatest hits for the most part. I was watching this movie the other night with Al Pacino called Danny Collins, right, where he plays this guy that he was on the precipice of becoming a great singer, and then he essentially sold out and just did popular music. And he's trying to go back to his roots and write some really good stuff. And he tries to do this intimate gig where he's performing this new song, and everyone's screaming out, "Come on, play this song! Come on, man, play this!" And then he finally just gives in and just goes back to his old material. And I have to think that a lot of bands are probably like that. When I see shows where a band that's been around for a long time has new material, whenever they play a new song, people are going to the bar, getting a drink, they're texting, they're talking. All of a sudden,
they're like, I don't know that song.
All of a sudden, the conversations are louder. You can hear people talking.
Well, you got to give it time. You know, we just started touring on our new record, and there's definitely a process to getting the new songs into people's brains. I mean,
no doubt.
You can't compete with a record that is 20 years old and someone grew up listening to, you know?
But you guys still make great music, and same thing with Madball, right? Like Madball's latest record was incredible.
Great.
So I think if I think that the key is that the music has to be incredible.
Yes.
If you're coming out with new music where you're just going through the motions, of course nobody wants to hear that. But if your new music is great, like the new H2O record, the new Madball record, there's so many bands put out great records last year and the year before. That I think is different. Like when Madball played all their new music, people were loving it.
Yeah, if you have good music, just wait a while. Everyone's going to get into it.
That's right. That's right.
You just got to kind of go through that moment where people have got the new record, they've listened to it, but they haven't got the time with it that they have with the one you put out last time.
Yeah, you gotta have a good setup. You just can't force people. Like, we're putting out new music whether you like it or not. And I think it was a matter, like, probably about 15 years ago, Prince did that. He's like, I'm not doing any of my old stuff ever again. I'm just all new material this time. Like, that's not a good move, Prince. No. Madonna tried to do the same thing. Like, look, girl, nobody wants to hear any of the crap you're putting out now. You better freaking do like a version and shut the hell up, okay?
Elton John did that one time in Vegas. I didn't go about Tim Larkin, our friend. He said he went to the show with his wife, and Elton comes out and he goes, "Okay, folks, tonight I'm going to do something new," and he just played all this other music that is not related to his hits. And the whole audience is like, "Come on, man. We want to hear Rocket Man.
I want to hear Benny and the Jets. What are you doing, man?"
I mean, you have to walk that line between your kind of artistic integrity, in quotes, and giving the audience what they want.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And when in doubt, you kind of got to give them what they want.
Exactly. Because, even... we just saw Lenny Kravitz recently, and it's just like, I was sitting there thinking, like, man, I hope he doesn't do a lot of his new stuff right now. I really don't want it. And there's one album he should never do anything from. It's the one where he had the perm on the front of it, man.
And hopefully his pants don't split this
time. God. And I was sitting there, like, and all these girls like, malfunction. I'm like, no, dude, don't do that here in Houston, dude. I don't do that here. That already happened. He said, oh, why do y'all want me to do that? You can just go look at it on YouTube. So, which was kind of funny. He just rolled with it. But, luckily he only did like maybe one new song the entire time. And it's like he kind of just knew, like, all right, this is from the new album, blah, blah. And then he didn't stick with it long, just enough to give you a taste of it. And then he went back to the other stuff, which I'm pretty sure fans appreciated it. I'm like, dude, don't do a lot of new stuff. Let's just really...
It's like the Rolling Stones. No one wants to hear the new material. Play Satisfaction. Play Give Me Shelter.
Well,
exactly.
So people,
Sympathy for the Devil.
Music is nostalgia, right? They want to be taken back to some
these
place.
Memories, these things like, this is what happened when I heard this song. I got my first piece of tail when I heard this song. And then I also broke up with that crazy broad on that song.
Music can take you back to a time, and it's also a condiment to your life. If you're in love and you play the right song, you will fall more in love.
Yeah.
If you're working out and you need a performance enhancer, play certain records and you will get stronger.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You will get stronger
without question. Yeah, that's so true.
Like Eye of the Tiger, I got more strength. I could push through anything when I was.
Have you heard "Devil You Know's" remake of that?
No, is it good?
Yeah, it is good actually. I thought when I first heard that they did a remake of it, I go, that's going to be corny. But Howard's such a great vocalist, man.
Yeah.
That it's incredible. Yeah, it's actually really good.
I can't remember the name of the band, but I heard an English band do a remake of No Easy Way Out from Rocky IV.
Oh, really? Okay.
Fucking great. Super rocking.
Those songs and those training clip montages never fail to inspire you to work.
Exactly.
Sometimes I watch those on YouTube before I go train. I was like, I need a little boost today. I'm gonna watch that Rocky clip of him running through the mountains.
Yeah.
Makes you want to fucking like grab a log and run up a hill.
Like Sylvester Stallone influenced me so much from those training scenes, you know. And some of those cheesy '80s martial arts movies where you have like, the guy training like.
Yeah, Bloodsport and Kickboxer. And
no retreat, no surrender. Ghost comes back.
Stallone is still inspirational now because the guy's pushing 70. People are like, oh, he's on growth hormone, he's on testosterone.
Exactly. Because he's pushing 70.
Who gives a fuck?
Look, dude, you can't push 70 without some help, okay?
Yeah, and also. When we were growing up, when somebody was 70, they looked like they were 70.
No, they looked.
It was like, who's that? That's you're playing someone's grandpa on a TV show. You know, you're not the action star anymore.
No.
Nowadays, you have people like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and other guys who have kept themselves in good shape.
Van Damme's great.
I was about to say, keep in mind, you look at Stallone now. Keep in mind that Burgess Meredith was pushing 70 when Rocky first came out. Look how he looked back then compared to how Rocky looks now at that age.
No kidding. That's a great comparison.
There's a difference.
I tell you guys, when diet, correct exercise, and supplementation fail me, I am shoving a needle in my ass. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Well, I mean, fortunately, there's way more progressive things in the pipeline that will manifest by the time we need that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like stem cell therapy and nanobots. I mean, there's way more progressive things that are around the corner than TRT. And then there isn't anything wrong with TRT. When nothing else works, it's not a bad option. But anti-aging medicine is just at the very early stages of coming out with development. So stuff that's around the corner is going to be incredible. You look at 20 years from now, people are going to laugh at TRT and growth hormone injections and stuff like that.
Right.
It also shouldn't be a first response. I mean, if someone comes in and they're really low levels and they're kind of shot, get them on a good diet, get them exercising right.
Well, a lot of times it's a form of laziness, right? Nobody wants to do any corrective things. They're like, well, look, I feel like shit right now, and if I take this, I'm going to feel better today.
Yeah.
So I don't want to wait a month to feel better. I don't want to wait a month to rejuvenate my T levels and growth hormone when I can get an injection today in this office and I'm going to feel better right now.
But then isn't it a deal with the devil? Where you're
absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Because now what happens is you go down that road long enough, you have to keep going down that road,
exactly,
whether you like it or not. So I mean, there are options. There are intermediary steps. For example, if like someone had a death in the family and they were going through a really hard time, maybe taking some DHA supplementation and some TRT is not a bad idea during that phase, and then you gradually wean them off to a more progressive natural approach. So it's you just have to take it by a case scenario. When someone is 28 and their testosterone is low, though, we have to look at, okay, why are you as a young man in your peak, are you at such a depleted state? And what can we do about that? Most of the times it's too much stress, not enough sleep. But, to tell you the truth, man, when I was 22, I was drinking a lot. I was partying a lot. I was in college. My diet wasn't that great because I couldn't afford the best quality food. I was still crushing it in the gym. I still had a high sex drive like anyone who's 22.
Right.
So now what happens? So when I see someone in their early 20s who has low levels, even if they're on a crappy diet and their sleep is not optimal, they still shouldn't be so depleted. So it's kind of a scary state of affairs we're in right now, where there's so much that's attacking your endocrinology that at younger and younger ages you're having problems that shouldn't be surfacing for 10, 15, 20 years from there.
It's pretty terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, we're going to, we are definitely getting outside of our bodies, so to speak. We live in a world of cell phones and screens.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I am truly grateful that I grew up in an era where my character was forged without social media.
Oh, exactly. I'm talking about an era where your parents didn't want you in the house most of the days. Like, okay, you done your work, go outside.
Also,
they didn't ask.
I'm glad I didn't go to high school when everyone had cell phones. Can you imagine
Exactly.
all the stuff that you did that would be on?
Dude, I remember I'm coming from an era where if you had a calculator to watch, the teacher took it from you. It's like, give me that. That was considered cheating. And now they get to have their laptops in class. I'm like, and their iPads. I'm like, really?
If you wanted to date a woman, you had to man up, go up to her and speak to her face to face.
Or at least have your friend pass the note that says, will you go out with me, yes or no? Check yes or no.
That is still the best approach today, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, man, look, nothing beats the basics, okay?
You see a good-looking woman and you have the stones to go walk up to her and start a conversation. That happens so rarely that she's going to be like, wow, finally, here's a guy who loves me in the real world. Instead of sending me an email or a poke on Facebook.
Or like it, yeah. Oh, God. Man.
Men should not, by the way, men should not poke other men.
No, men should not unless they're doing it in real life and that's the lifestyle they choose. That's their lifestyle. That's your lifestyle, then no problem. But don't poke me on Facebook, man. I don't like that's. You know what that is? That's social media assault. Because I didn't ask for that, man. Don't come poking on me. If you did that in the real world, I could have you arrested, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the art of conversation is something that is also dissipating because so many people live through their avatars via social media and other mediums that the ability to look someone in the eye and have an intelligent conversation is quickly becoming something that is going to be relegated to the past if we're not careful.
It's strange how far the pendulum has swung the other way because I remember when I was a kid, the big thing was people no longer knew how to communicate through the written word.
Right.
Now everybody's kind of, for better or worse, has figured out a way to communicate through the written word, or you're a social outcast, and they've lost the face-to-face skills.
But the problem is now that written word is not even. What are they writing? Everything's like, the first they're not even using the full word anymore. They're shortening words and WTF and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, write the word out.
It bothers me because ultimately, like from a pragmatic point of view, communication is communication. You can write LOL, you get the point across, but man, it's so fucking lazy.
Yeah.
The English
and then halftime LOL is a lie because are you really laughing out loud right now? Really? Are you laughing out loud?
The English language is all language. English being the only one that I speak, so the only one I'm qualified to speak about.
Right.
Is so beautiful and there's so many nuances. Like the more of it you can use in speech and in written word, the better. I mean,
it helps create even just create the interest in the story of the person you're communicating with. When just like it takes you somewhere automatic. If I hear somebody say a belt, if I'm watching TV, automatic like, wow, they're Canadian. That's the first thing that comes to mind. If I see somebody spell favorite, if they spell favorite, O-U-R-I-T, like that, I'm like, oh, they're probably from the UK. It's just the way they spell different things and say different things and the way they say it. And it starts this conversation or it starts you thinking about things. When everybody's pretty much on the same playing field, LOL, IMHO and all this other stuff, there's not really much character to that. It doesn't really take me really anywhere as far as the conversation. It's very flatlined at that point.
Very dismissive.
Yes.
Right.
Let me put this in a way that everyone can understand. That's what it seems like to me.
Condescending. I get one that I don't know and I have to Google.
Oh, I know I have to go Google it. Yeah, or I have to go to Urban Dictionary sometimes and look it up.
I don't want to be uncool enough not to know what.
I just want to know what the hell you're talking about. It's like, come on, man. Like, what does that mean? What is that? What are those three letters? What is that? Oh, it's so and so. And then you can kind of see the condescending tone in the way they reply back. I'm like, look, dude. I don't speak idiot. I use vowels, man. Okay, that's the thing about it. I like vowels. They're important.
Going back to the laziness both of you guys were talking about, and also remember the good old days when you would call up a friend and have a conversation. Now it's more of a text. Hey man, how you doing? Oh, I'm great. How about you? I'm good too. And then that's just like, okay, check it off my list. I got in touch with so and so. Let me text Bob now and say the same thing, and then I'll text Chris and say this, and then I'll text Christine and see what she's doing.
No, better yet, now we're gonna sound like the old dude sipping brandy and smoking cigars right now. Remember when the phone call was actually a mystery?
Middle-aged dudes bitching about the kids right here.
Remember the good old days when the phone would ring and it was a mystery? You don't know who the fuck that was. You actually had to pick it up and figure out.
Someone to meet.
You like your heart speeding a little bit faster.
Like, who is that? And you answer like, hello? With a question mark.
If you told someone you were going to meet them somewhere at 5:00, you had to be there.
Yeah, you had to be there. There's no text saying I'm late.
To give you a heads up, exactly.
No, you had to be there. And you knew how to get there because you still had a sense of direction. You hadn't outsourced it to your phone yet.
Right. Hey, I can say this much: that lack of all this communication, options for communication, also had an increased commitment to everything else. So there was a bright side to not having all that technology and all that accessibility. It made you have to commit to more things. That's the thing about it. Whereas now you can be so, like you said, be very dismissive with everything. Like, oh yeah, something came up, not text. First of all, you're texting. Something came up, not going to be able to make it. And you're supposed to be there like 5 minutes ago. You're like, really? I'm sitting here at this table here waiting for you, dude. And you just now texting me? Oh, my bad, dude. My phone died. So it's all these different things where they never have to commit or take responsibility for anything, man.
It seems since texting, most people are running late.
Yeah.
Like pretty much everyone I meet is late.
5 minutes late. Running 5 minutes late.
5 minutes is 5 minutes, but it's my
Traffic.
5 minutes.
Traffic.
Right.
It's like,
I could have been doing stuff.
yeah.
Well, it's always the no. Basically, you're telling the other person that my time is more
It's
valuable
not as
than
important. Yeah,
yours.
exactly. Somebody,
So it's okay
work.
for me to be late because I'm busy doing shit, but I don't mind you waiting around.
But if they do it to you, you're like, damn, dude, for real, my time is valuable. You couldn't think about me in a situation. Like, wait a minute, didn't you just do
Like
this to me
I
last week?
understand things happen, but most of the time is people just don't care enough to be on time.
That's
Right.
That's right.
You know, and
It's like
that-
you didn't think to leave 10 minutes earlier. You know,
Yeah.
It's like,
Hey,
it's like you're
here's-
20 minutes late because you tried to go to the other side of town 5 minutes from when you're supposed to be there.
And a lot of those situations is because these people have agreed to do things or be places that they didn't give a shit about. So my thing is a simple solution to this to save everybody's time. First of all, take that word maybe out of your vocabulary and just say yes or no. So, I'm not going to be able to do that. Just really just that simple. Like if you don't care, nah, I'm not going to be able to do that. And leave it. You're done.
Yeah, sometimes people are so afraid of being that.
Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings by saying no, but
Well,
shit.
like someone said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to pick your brain. Can we do this?" You're like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll say no later." I don't do that crap though. I just say no. Right
I don't
now.
have deferred no's, man. My no's are pretty immediate.
No, it's also for me. I'm not thinking of the other person because I'm thinking of my time. It's like, look, I'm not interested in meeting up with you, so I'm going to tell you that right now so we don't waste time. I'm doing that foremost because I don't want to waste my time, but also as a side benefit, I'm not wasting your time either.
Exactly, because you don't want to hurt their feelings by, here's the thing, I don't want to hurt their feelings by saying no. You're going to hurt their feelings when they're talking and you're looking all around the restaurant, you're answering texts,
Well, you're
you're
getting
rolling
them
your
all
eyes.
excited. Now they're like, "Oh, cool! I'm going to meet up with so and so," and then you wait till the 11th hour to say, "Oh, I can't make it," and blow them off. That's not cool either.
You almost get what you deserve if you don't have the ability to say hard no's to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely like it's tempting to be like, oh, let me see, maybe I gotta.
Yeah.
Out of fucking no.
My grandma was like that. I remember my grandma was like, "Hey, you want a piece of cake?" And my brother's like, "Oh, maybe." Then she's like, "No, yes or no." Not
Yeah,
maybe,
exactly.
Not maybe later. You want it or you don't.
Hey, man, I always look at it like being like testifying in court. Like no attorney wants to hear your explanations. When they ask you questions, like it's a simple yes or no. Then one's like, well, I was thinking, well, blah, blah. And I actually saw Mr. So-and-so is yes or no. So you should get into the practice of that because you never know when you have to be in that situation because no one cares about your explanations. It's kind of like when a cop pulls you over. It's like, well, officer, I was on my way to pick up my wife. That's why I was speeding. No. You were speeding, right? Yes. Okay. There it is. You're done. Write the ticket. Be done with it. First, don't even argue with him. That's what lawyers are for.
That's how you make it a certainty that you're going to get a ticket. Like all that debating and like
Yeah, exactly.
pull me over. I've gotten out of 2 tickets in Vegas just by being a cool guy. The cop
Exactly.
pulled me over. I had my hands in the wheel, window rolled down, handed him everything he needed to know. I didn't make up a bunch of excuses like, "Oh, why are you pulling me over?" Like, "Oh, I wasn't."
Or you didn't turn to an asshole and start questioning like, "Why, dude? What is wrong with you?" There's more important things out there than you want to pull me.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, right now? You want to do
I was
that
a
right
cool
now?
guy. I didn't do anything that would make him feel that I was a threat in any way.
Right.
And I got off both times, so I don't think it's coincidental.
Yeah.
So I think that's the mistake a lot of people make is they know they're in the wrong and then they're trying to justify it.
Exactly.
Surprising how far basic human respect and courtesy can take you in this life.
That's right.
Yeah, and there it is
exactly
right there, man. Like I said, you can catch a lot more flies with sugar than you can with vinegar. That's what people need to understand, man. Straight
No,
up.
that's very correct. Now, we don't want to keep you on forever, but I'm just curious what you do to stay in shape on the road because we have a lot of listeners who travel a lot. They may not be in the music business, but they're traveling all the time, and they're going, I don't know how to get into a routine to stay fit.
Well, for me, I absolutely have to exercise daily on tour. If I don't, I'm less fun to be around.
Right.
It tends to kind of set me up for the day. what I started doing on the last tour is I'm not a runner right off the bat. I'm a terrible runner. I suck at running. So on tour, I actually go running. And I run through the streets at a fairly decent pace, and I'm looking for places to work out. I kind of bit this from Steve Maxwell a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Like, sure. I'm looking for parks. I'm looking for stairs I can sprint. And through doing this, it's given me a really, really interesting experience every time I run in a city. Like, I ran in Prague, and I was doing stair sprints on the Charles Bridge, which is a really famous
that's cool.
Tourist spot.
Yeah.
I did it in Paris. And I ran into the original parkour guys that were training on a staircase. We did sprints together just randomly. It seems if you get out and you experience a city, and I use training as my method to do that.
Yeah.
It beats sitting in a backstage rotting any day.
Or even a hotel.
You know, watching Law and Order reruns all night.
I'm a little weird about hitting gyms. I'll do it if I have to. The reason being is that I can train hard on tour, but I can't control my nutrition and I can't control my rest.
Right.
So I make it a point to stay inside my comfort zone a little bit.
Right.
You know, and when I'm home, if I have an extended period of home, then I'll design a program for myself over the long haul. Like right now, I'm pretty much home until late June. Like I think I'm going to go to South America. We got shows in South America in April. A couple of the punk rock bowlings, the East Coast and the West Coast. Pennywise in one day, you know, so I'm home, so I get the opportunity.
And when you tour, it's 2 weeks at a time, right? You're not going for 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Yeah,
2 weeks at a time, home for 2 weeks, 2 weeks at a time, home for 3 weeks.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of gets in the way of having a committed physical practice. You know, you can't really build a lot of momentum. Like I listen to you guys. I started doing the Cohen Philippi deadlift program.
Yeah.
And it's 10 weeks in length. I was averaging every 4 weeks I'd have to, you know, go on tour, I'd come back, grip shot to shit, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's amazing. When I was traveling a lot teaching courses, and I wasn't traveling anywhere near as much as you guys, but just going somewhere for 2 weeks and coming back, you're totally out of your element. It's just it would take a couple of weeks just to get back to where you were before you left, and then it's time to go somewhere again. You're constantly on that wheel, just trying to have maintenance.
Yeah, I have to do a ramp up workout for sure. Like whatever, like last week, I came back last week, so I'm finally over the jet lag, thank God. And I did a ramp up week. I did what would have been before I left work sets of squats. Woke up the day after, puked my guts out, had a hangover, and hadn't drank a drop. You know what I mean? I'm like, kind of as you get older, you kind of have to give yourself time to work back into things. Like, I truly believe that it is possible for someone past 40 to be in the best shape of their life.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they weren't like a high school star athlete.
No, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm there right now to a large extent. My deadlift is better than it's ever been. You know, my conditioning is really good. My squat is better than it's ever been. So, no doubt.
Same here. And it's like you're saying, Adam, it's like, you know, you didn't really hit that peak, you know, like, you know, in your early years, like, you know, high school athlete or whatever. And so one thing about we kind of have this, you know, we're kind of in that stage where, okay, we may be hitting that peak, or we're probably just right on that precipice. Like, dude, you haven't even really hit it just yet.
It's that untapped reservoir.
Exactly. Because we have a lot more longevity now, because we haven't pretty much fried our mainframe at an early age at this point, and gone through injuries and overtraining consistently for years and years and years. Unlike a lot of these pro athletes and all, that's just like, dude, they're a hot mess when they're done, you know, or they're just relieved when they're done. I mean, it looks like Shaq looked like he's happy he's done. Okay.
Hopefully we know our bodies and we've made all our mistakes already, you know?
Yeah.
And we're
like recovery and restoration just becomes much more paramount. Like, you know, I get a good massage once a week. And I even started doing that. There's these foot massage places in town. So now we're talking about, and I'll even add that in once a week. So a lot of people hear foot massage, they think you're just getting your feet massaged, but they work your back, your shoulders, and all that.
Those head massages,
and no, guys, it's not a rub and tub place.
Yeah, when I say head massage, I mean no, really.
The ones I go to aren't. You know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a real head massage. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but like, no.
Of course it is, guys. Of course it is.
But that's only like $20, $30. It's nothing.
20.
So someone who's on a budget is like, well, I can't afford to get a real massage once a week. Okay, we'll get that one once a week.
Yeah, a lot of them will do full body. Yeah, a lot of them will do full body. So you end up getting a full body massage. But the thing is, they have terminology. So you can't ever say you want the full massage, whatever, because then they're going to charge like maybe like $50, something like that. But you say you're coming in for the foot massage and the head massage, whatever. Then as, you know, it's kind of like a little dessert afterwards, just like, you know, they'll give you the full body. Now you'll be in your clothes. It won't be like the regular massage. massage that you would normally go get. But hell, man, those little ladies, those little 75, 80-pound ladies get on you, man. They get in there, especially if you really like sports massages and things like that. So it's something to be said when a little woman just hops up on your back and she's like driving her elbows into your muscles. And you're like, oh, wow, that feels great. Whereas my other masseuse, I can't see her doing that. I don't want her doing that. There's a difference between 85 pounds and 125 pounds. There's a big difference. I
will say the sports massage I get is extremely beneficial, though. Nothing takes the place of that because it's personalized. The way I always describe it is she's fixing the problems I created that week.
Yep. Yeah.
So instead of just waiting for problems to accumulate until they become injuries, I'm staying ahead of it. It's like car maintenance, right? Like I'm checking my tires, I'm checking the oil, checking all the fluids, making sure everything's good to go, rather than waiting for things to break and fall apart and then try to do something about it.
That's exactly how I look at my training with the touring. When I'm between tours, I'm trying to essentially keep my car running.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I certainly am not trying to soup it up. I'm not putting fancy rims on it. I'm just trying to keep it moving. I'm trying to keep it strong, trying to keep my vehicle that I travel through this universe in the best possible functional shape. And then when I have a break, then I'm like, dude, I want to get jacked.
Right.
I want to lift heavy things. I want to. One thing I think as I got older too is consistency becomes king.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
And you can't do a long layoff and then
no.
If you do a long layoff, you're not going to just lose as much as you did when you were younger and did a layoff. You're going to lose a ton.
You're going to actually feel like you haven't lifted since you were younger. You're just like what the hell happened, man?
I mean, some exercises in particular, it's amazing how much you lose just taking a few weeks away from it.
Damn deadlift.
Deadlift I can hold. Deadlift actually is one of those exercises. I push it so hard that if I take a couple weeks off, it's usually a good thing because my body fully recovers.
That stays with me too.
Yeah, deadlift, kettlebell snatch, there's a few moves that I can take fairly long periods away from and not lose much, but overhead pressing,
forget about it, man.
That one I lose so much, it's not even funny.
Benching, I'm back to square one if I take off.
Right, any kind of pressing falls into that. Some of the larger muscle groups, not as much, at least not personally.
Yeah. So consistency is key, and then just being intelligent, and
right.
realizing that I may see something really cool, I may see someone doing crazy flips, and I'm like, man, I want to do that, and then I'm like, dude, you're 43 and you're playing man. Know your role. Be strong, be healthy, be virile. Be awesome, but don't break yourself trying to do things.
Yeah, you don't want to do something.
And realize you're watching the end result of that. We don't know the training that led up to that video, that 10-second video clip. Everybody gets excited about it, I'm going to do that. Like, but I don't think they did that 10 seconds before that is when they first tried it. Okay,
people try to get into things too quickly.
Because it looks cool.
They see a new move and they want to master that the first time they try it. They go, no, take your time with it.
Yeah.
The 4 steps. There's this one motion that Nick Curzon has people do. It's just 2 to 5 pound weights called crossovers on a Swiss ball. When you watch someone like Rafael dos Anjos do it, it's very fluid and fast. You're like, man, that looks cool. When I'm doing it, it's very rigid and stiff because I'm not used to that motion.
Right.
Instead of trying to speed it up and get sloppy, his advice on his video is like, look, just go at your own pace. Don't worry about being really fast. Just get used to the motion, and then you can speed it up as you go along. But I can just see someone watching that clip, and then the first time they try it, just trying to flip away like there's no tomorrow, and that's just not going to work.
There's a learning curve to physical skill for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So your mind is not ready for it. That's the real thing. It's like your mind has to get ready for whatever the physical activity is.
Hell, look at walking. That's why you crawl before that happens, okay? Hell, so
this is something I hear a lot with people when I tell them that I'm a musician. I hear this all the time, like, oh, I don't have any musical talent. and I always tell them, like,
you're just born with it.
Right to make that decision yet. Your fingers haven't been conditioned enough to move as they need to make music. Like, it's a physical thing. You have to learn to move your fingers correctly. And once your fingers move freely, maybe you're talentless, but I've never met anyone who, once their fingers got moving, couldn't make something that sounded like music.
Right.
It's
like someone says, people say the same thing about strength training too, like, oh, I'm just naturally weak. It's like, yeah, we all are when you start training.
How about you shit?
I mean, you have these outliers like Mike Tyson. The first time he ever tried bench pressing, he did 250 for reps, but that's an outlier. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. People are, I think, expect a lot out of the gate, you know, and you have to be prepared to think of.
Or they expect results in this ridiculously short amount of time. They've been 100 pounds overweight for 20 years, and they just started working out, and they're disappointed that they only lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You were going to lose all 100, in those 2 weeks? I mean, come on.
When it comes to your body, you are quite literally going to be traveling in it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you didn't gain 100 pounds in 2 weeks. Why would you lose 100 pounds?
You have plenty of time to fix it and improve it, but you have to give it time.
That's right. You have to enjoy the process.
In the process, yeah.
You want to find training that's enjoyable. Like, people think that those of us who work out hard are just mentally tough in that we don't like it. We just force ourselves to do it. And that's not, at least that's not the case for me. I actually like all these workouts. Yeah, you have to be mentally tough to push it, and you don't necessarily like to do it every single time. But overall, I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy lifting heavy weights. I look forward to it.
For me, it's a performance enhancer. Like, if I exercise, everything else I do better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt about it.
I'm a better husband. I'm a better speaker. I'm a better bass player. I'm a better friend. Everything I do is elevated by this one area of my life that I pretty much have absolute control over.
Exactly.
No doubt.
I'd have to go get a prescription for that, and get hooked on it, and then I can't function. I got to figure out the right dosage or anything like that. I can avoid a lot of that, and not taking away from people.
You're just calmer. You're more fun to be around because you don't have all that nervous energy. Like, sometimes when you see people just like lose their mind over silly stuff, right? Like these enraged drivers. You're like, Jesus, man, you're getting that mad over this?
Yeah, because all that's been suppressed. They've been holding all that in.
Sprints, man.
Yeah, there's no outlet to they haven't chosen an outlet to get rid of that stuff. They internalize it.
It's like I have dogs, right? I would never think of a day going by where I didn't give my dogs a good amount of exercise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I constantly look at people and I'm like, why aren't you taking the same approach to yourself?
Right.
Right. We're physical creatures, regardless of spiritual beliefs aside. Like, we still have a physical body that's our vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to drive that thing.
Yeah.
You need to take it off road. You need to ramp it up to full speed and see what it can do, and you'll be a better person because of it, because it's part of what you're designed to do.
Yeah, it's always empowering, right? Like yesterday, like I said, it was cold here. I was like, I don't know if I should do these sprints. I was like, fuck it, let's go do it. It's cold, it's windy, you suck it up, you do it. You feel better on multiple fronts afterwards. You feel better because you broke through a mental barrier.
Yeah.
You feel better because you actually did the exercise, which is always a mood booster, sprinting, getting fresh air, sunshine, etc. So on multiple fronts, it's empowering.
I never feel worse after those workouts.
No, that's what I was
I'll take the classic commercial from 24 Hour Fitness. I'll give them this much when they had a commercial and said, no one ever felt bad. No one ever said, I wish I hadn't worked out today.
Yeah, right.
Now, are you guys aware that Planet Fitness have banned deadlifting?
Yeah.
No,
They've banned a lot of
I've
things.
never even heard of Planet Fitness.
It's the most hilarious thing, man. You can't even make like
a lot of gyms do that though. That's not uncommon.
They ban deadlifting. They don't like any noise, or as they call it, clunking, which is funny.
Well, it's like Lifetime. They have deadlift platforms, but you're not allowed to use chalk. It's like, well, that's
so basically you're not allowed to get stronger.
That's like going to a hooker, but you're not allowed to have sex with her.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
I mean, come on. So you can have sex with her, but you can't take her panties off.
All men should be deadlifting.
Right. So I mean, you have all these deadlifting platforms. Who deadlifts heavy without using chalk? I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to even get past your warm-up weights without some chalk on. You're gonna lose. So I mean, just silly things like that. The gym I go to is just a small, low-key gym around the corner from my house, and they don't necessarily like it when I do deadlifts there, but they tolerate it, because they're just being cool about it. But a lot of gyms, they just don't allow it at all, which is ridiculous.
Well, they're also thinking about the liability. If somebody hurts their back, they're going to sue us. Like, it's not your fault. They sucked, and they need instruction. Okay, so
someone can hurt themselves on a treadmill,
Yeah, exactly.
People often do.
Yeah.
You can hurt yourself curling in the squat rack, if you're not doing it right. You're swinging back and forth trying to get a weight that's way too heavy to curl.
The things they don't like is they don't want to intimidate potential members.
Oh, and that's another thing.
That's the main reason why, because they don't want someone coming in who's tentative about joining, and then there's some guy doing heavy deadlifts where you're making this loud thump every time you put the bar down. At the same time, sometimes when you see people deadlifting, their technique is so bad, and they're just basically dropping the bar after each rep, no control.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, yeah, that shouldn't be allowed. It's a shitty ass technique. Like there was a guy at the gym who had like 225 on the bar. He was making so much noise in between each rep. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You have no control at all over such a light amount of weight. It's like if I can put 5 plates down under control, I'm not saying I do a slow negative, but I can put it down under control where it's not just a drop.
Right.
Then someone using a third of that weight should have no problem, or half that weight should have no problem. So on some elements, I get both sides. But what gyms should have is a platforms to protect their floor, and then just teach proper technique. Like if you want to do deadlifts, fine, but you need to show that you actually know what you're doing.
Bumper plates, useful chalk, all that stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of gyms are joke. But on the road, I've always found that sprinting is my go-to training.
Yeah,
you can do it
You can do it anywhere. You can do it in the hallway of a hotel if you want
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
and then you got stairs you can go hit right, at the same time.
Like I'm not worried about lifting weights or doing what I normally do at home on the road. I do my sprinting. Even on vacations, I was like, all right, let me just carve out some time where I can get up, bang out 10 sprints on the beach or at a field.
Yeah.
Just feels good.
I started sprinting recently. It was pretty shocking how beat up it made me.
Oh, yeah.
In a muscular sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's tough.
And then I started to try and run. I found like a 5K track right by the beach.
Uh-huh.
And I figured, 5K, any further than that, I'm going to call an Uber. But I can run a 5K. I got to say, man, it's harder than I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like to really to keep a good clip. So kind of one on my to-do list is to get a decent 5K time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a decent distance. It's not going to crush me, but I was really surprised by how even something you take for granted, like running and sprinting, I can do that. If you don't do it, you can't fucking do it.
That's right. That's exactly where I was going to go. It's like I don't care what else you're doing. If you're not doing the actual specific exercise, there's going to be limited carryover, if any.
Yeah, I was really shocked because, I'll do circuit training and even like I was doing sprints before I started trying to run 5K. And I was like, man, 5K is in some ways harder than sprints.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not used to it. I don't know how to breathe.
Well, you have to keep, exactly. You have to keep that sustained pace, that cadence. You can't just try to get it over with as quickly as possible.
No.
Yeah.
It's pretty challenging and a great way to learn your body, learn what that feels like.
Well, that's what's cool about running in general is that when you first start running, you're kind of in that panic state where you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And then Sincere always talks about the importance of your breathing and pacing and so forth, and that's what calms you down. And once you get into that calm state, then you can keep going indefinitely.
There's definitely a nice high that you get from running too.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely something that is the reward for the work.
Look, man, it's in our blueprint because that's how we made it this far up the food chain. Okay, so
Right.
it's something we had to do. Now it's a choice for most people, but the thing is, it's in you. Some people are like, I could never run. Like, trust me, with the right conditions, your ass will run. Okay, you will find a way.
Yeah, you may be in a situation in life whether you have to run whether you like it or not.
Exactly. Like,
running is functional because you never know when you're going to have to run towards something or away from
something.
It's funny. I was just on tour and there was a swimming pool in the hotel, right? And I was like, fuck it, swim. I can swim. My God, it was one of the hardest workouts I've done in a long time.
Oh man, if you haven't done it in a while, your arms are fried when it's over, man. And you look at your abs like, why do I feel like okay, there is a 6-pack in there.
I live 1 mile from the Pacific Ocean in a state where a giant earthquake is at some point going to hit and will create a tsunami. Maybe I should think about getting better at swimming.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a self-defense life skill I should try and master.
Or you could just move out of there.
I love California. What can I say?
I mean, Vegas might become the new Western Seaboard at some point. So just staying ahead of the curve.
Superman?
I'm about to have beachfront property in no time.
Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, pleasure, man. Thanks for spending so much time with us. Great talking to you.
I absolutely love the show. I listen to it pretty much every episode. So
Thank you, man. Thank
Appreciate
you for the support. And we're looking forward to seeing H2O in Vegas in May.
I believe
And
28th.
yeah, that's right. It's a Sunday, I believe. I'm definitely going to be there. I look forward to meeting you and hanging out with you guys. And where can people find out more about the new record and tour dates?
Well, for me, you can just look at Adam Blake 007. That's me on Instagram and Twitter. For H2O, we have an H2O Facebook that shamefully I don't know the URL for, but if you search H2O band Facebook, you will find it.
Yeah, Dr. Google should get you there.
Yeah, he can help. So I would check us out. Come see us live. It's the best way to learn about our band. You know,
fun. Looks like a fun environment. So I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. You know, hopefully we keep the goons out and the good people in.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right, Adam. Thanks a lot, buddy. Great talking to you.
Bye.
You have a great one. Take care. And again, is our friend Adam Blake. Check out H2O. Check out the new record, Use Your Voice. Some of you were saying, oh, Mike, you're recommending this music. It's just not melodic enough for me. It's like, well, this will be melodic enough for you. It's hardcore, but the vocals are very melodic, and you'll like it, so check it out.
Perfect.
And you can also do something else. You can check us out by going to MikeMahler.com, NewWarriorTraining.com, using that coupon code LLA. Get 10% off the best nutrition products around. You know, you're tired of your wife trying to motorboat you every night. Get on that EC. Get rid of those BTs. You got the BTs, man. That's gonna be like best friends. Like, I'm not feeling too good today. So like, well, I wouldn't feel good either if I had BTs. Like,
oh, boy. Look, man. Last week was the 3-dimensional.
Yeah. Hey, I'm coming up with a new phrase every week.
The phrase of the week. Mahler's phrase of the week.
Like three-dimensional camel toes, male. That's like
MBTs.
Like, man, I like to motorboat my wife so much. Maybe she'll want to motorboat me. It's like, no, I don't think so. She doesn't even like it when you do it, buddy. All right, this is something she tolerates. All right.
Oh, man. So, yeah, man. So, yeah, check out both websites. Use that coupon code LLA. And also hop over to patreon.com/LLA podcast. Become a monthly supporter of the show. Start out $5, $10. We take it all, man. And that'll help us keep the show going and growing. Last but not least, head over to iTunes or Stitcher. Leave a review. Let's get those reviews up, folks. And, you know, for all our VIPs out there, add that as well to your list. And also keep sharing on social media.
Every listener to share an episode with one person. If every single one of our listeners said, man, this episode is great, you just told one other fucking person about it, that would be huge for us.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that'll do it for this week, folks. Until next week. Take care, everybody.
Take care.